Understanding Southeast Asia, Syncretism in Commonalities, a book published by Thaksin University, Thailand.
Let me introduce Understanding Southeast Asia. This is a short book which deals with a subject that has not yet been appreciated widely enough, certainly in this era. It may well have been 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, but today we've forgotten a few things. So hence this book is not only called Understanding Southeast Asia, but also subtitled Syncretism in Commonalities. The book deals with common matters across Southeast Asia. From the very beginning of history, in fact, it deals with prehistory of the common migration, the common languages, and how this evolved. It deals with the major events of Southeast Asia as a whole, and it is based on the thesis that one cannot understand Southeast Asia without looking at the whole region. This is an important detail that I'll just emphasise now in this short introduction. There are two reasons why we can't accept looking at individual countries. The first is that the countries are young, and in each case, just like young countries everywhere in the world, the same is happening in my country of Australia, the countries of Southeast Asia are even younger, and young countries need to invent their own histories, myths and stories to bind a people together. That process is still going on. It's at an early stage in the countries of Southeast Asia. That's the first reason. The second reason is that scholars who've looked at aspects of Southeast Asia in great detail have necessarily had to learn the language in order to study particular aspects of Southeast Asian culture, whether it be anthropology, geography, or even some of the scientific studies. There has to have been a great deal of investment in learning about those cultures first of all, and this tends to preclude a wider view of commonalities across the region. Bringing a number of those together is the function of this book. So it deals with prehistory, the migration of people into the area, its history through the prehistorical period into a period when we know that India and China were far more important regions of the world than Europe, Europe being a latecomer in historical terms, and a number of things were discovered in this area. I won't go into detail about those things which originate in Southeast Asia, a number of agricultural products and techniques, languages that is probably the largest distribution of a language across the world in earlier times. The bifurcation of a language group from China into tonal and atonal languages today, yet so influenced by the cultures of India, particularly through religion, that we find a commonality in that. But the commonality that is greatest is that which is from the original cultures, and in religious terms is often termed animism. In order to explain what this book is intended to do, the summary is presented as a single page at the beginning, and that summary page is presented in each regional language: Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Malaysia, Burmese, Filipino, Khmer, Lao, Thai, Vietnamese, and also in Chinese, because there has been such an influence there. It treats language in that way. It also treats religion and culture in terms of the modern religions and culture, and shows that the animism that pervades Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and other represented religions of the area, including in particular Buddhism, the animism that pervades these is common across the region because it represents the way Southeast Asian people view themselves. So without going into too much detail, that is a short introduction to what this book contains. Its 23 chapters are short, to the point, and easy to read. The point of the book is to say we must look at Southeast Asia in those terms as a unit. Look for the commonalities. The subtitle, Syncretism in Commonalities, explains it all, and the word syncretism is here used in its original form, meaning the Cretan federation, the federation of ancient Crete. And that federation was characterised by a governance system that aimed at consensus and tolerance. And that is an apt way to describe the cultures of Southeast Asia today and through history. Of course, syncretism has a theological meaning and also, in modern or popular terms, a magical meaning. The magical meaning could also be applied here. It wasn't my intention. But what was my intention was to provide Western readers with a good introduction to Southeast Asia. Whether they are just visiting one country or many countries as a tourist, or whether they are going to work or to study there, the book contains a bounty of detail that they can understand Southeast Asia from. Then in addition to that, each paragraph is referenced for further reading. It doesn't mean what's in the paragraph is all taken from that particular reference, but it does mean that those interested in the subject of that paragraph can read further in other people's work, in specialists' work. And the other reason for preparing this book is to provide Southeast Asian people, young people in Southeast Asia who increasingly are reading English, an understanding of their own region and their own cultures, and to increase the level of pride in these great cultures. So while I am the author of the book, I am happy to commend it because it represents 40 years of thought on my part, and bringing it together has been such a joy. I do hope you will find something in it for you.